right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, Season 5, Best of the Rest. I'm Mike with EJ. How's it going, pal?
It's going good. Today was a little daddy daycare.
Oh,
Usually today is a grandma day, but grandma had to take Pap to just doctor's appointments today.
ah,
So it turned into a me day, a daddy day, which typically isn't that big of a deal because especially since I've known about this for a couple weeks now, so it's easy to
yeah.
kind of plan my work schedule and day around. But of course, something super urgent for work came and important for work came up. What's today? End of last week,
Mm,
and it was like so I had to crash on Monday, and it was going to potentially have to crash today, but thankfully, so essentially, we just I was getting people to vet, and so I got a couple of the names to do, and I finished them on Monday, and I was anticipating having another batch of them today, but they didn't come through. So it's
nice.
like yes, but then it's like it's gonna make my tomorrow miserable because like I have to have these vetted to get to like our president for a meeting of his and by probably like Thursday. And it's just it's one of those things where it's
So
like he
the
has
deadline doesn't move, but at
no.
least it did allow you to do daddy daycare appropriately.
Yes.
So,
Deadline didn't move. We're waiting on external people or the ones sending us these names, not internally. But yeah, so it worked out because I was a bit stressed at what we were going to have to
yeah,
do today because I was just not going to be able to dedicate time to it.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but
that's,
yeah,
I
it
mean,
did work out.
yes, yes, in a weird way, in a weird
Yes.
way.
You basically went from coast to coast in like how many hours? 48 less than?
Yeah, yeah, it was not a yeah, not something I enjoy doing, but here we are. I've done worse trips. I've done turnaround in less than in a little over 24 hours, which is worse.
Like not even basically bringing just like toiletries, if that, or just
Yeah, you get there, you go to bed, you wake up, you go to the office, and then you take the red eye back. That
yeah.
is worse. I had a friend, one of my coworkers lives here, and he flew out with me, and then he took the red eye last night, and I was like, oh, I do not envy you, my friend. So yeah.
Yes. Um, okay. So typically and I'm completely springing this on you, which is probably gonna go good or potentially bad, but there's gonna be options. Typically we just talk about the weekend, right? And there were some
Hmm.
great games, and we
There
can
were.
do that.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe this is you can I will allow you to punt this to next week. Um, not only to maybe be prepared, but honestly I don't think the slate is very good this weekend. So maybe it's maybe next week, but I thought it would be fun for us to do a little bit more just like off the cuff our opinions on either one. We have not revisited our conference preview, playoff preview, and I took a quick look, and it's yeah, it's not great. So that's something we should do. Or I think it would be fun to also talk about all these coaching job openings, right? And even ones that we know are likely to happen at the by the time the season ends as well. But I thought it would be interesting to potentially kind of chat through maybe like who who do you think are gonna fill these jobs? Maybe it's even just like who you would pick and who is actually like likely to go in. Um,
So,
so I don't know. Instead of just doing our typical thing, I thought it'd be fun to do something a bit different in the similar vein, but just kind of deviate
oh,
from what we typically do.
oh yeah. And little did you know, I actually am prepared for this.
Okay.
Those two topics in particular, just with one piece of feedback, I actually went back and I listened to our SEC conference preview. And I skipped I forget the exact time mark, but if you skip to our pretenders, I did say not only that I lead off saying that I think Brian Kelly's going to get fired from LSU, but I said October's the month it's going to happen. I said
Wow.
October is when things get really dicey for them. And that, because you were saying, you're like, well, I listened back to it, and you made a very good point. I agreed with you then. And I certainly, would there's even an argument to be made now. Well, not really, I guess, because I don't think there's many LSU fans that are shedding tears over losing him. But like, you had said like, well, it depends like what does failure look like? Is it losing like 5 games? Is it not missing a bowl? Like what's gonna happen? And
Yeah.
I just think the collapse that we've seen here over the past couple weeks has just been I really it was the A&M game was it, man. For them to just get their doors blown off at night when Brian Kelly, I don't think he lost a game at LSU at night. Or maybe he lost one game at LSU at night. That was damning for him in his future at LSU. So that's one piece I did go back and listen to the episode. But then I also in the same episode I caught myself saying, "Why don't you just go ahead, do yourself a favor if you're doing like a little like parlay for who to make the playoffs, just toss in Clemson, toss in Texas, and you're gonna have a great time." And boy, oh boy, that ticket is dead, 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 dead.
Yeah. I mean, that the way we have had success projecting teams, and it's hard because there's so much unknowns in the NIL era of having it's just like rosters bought all in one
Mm-hmm.
season,
Mm-hmm.
and the unpredictable, how unpredictable that can be. Um, but the way that we've really structured is usually if you have continuity along coaching staffs, especially if it's like second to third year within those coaching staffs, in those cases, not the head coaches, but at least the coordinators.
Yeah, yeah.
But and a veteran, um, experienced quarterbacks, and both of them returned rosters. So I guess Texas didn't, but like Clemson, and
Yeah,
Penn
Clemson
State,
returned, yeah, massive amounts. For sure.
massive amounts. Like not now, it's like okay, and this could very well just be a blip, and just a one off year, but it's definitely gonna make me, rethink some of the things I thought was right, and then I guess we'll see who the national champion ends up being, but. There's a good chance it's going to be a first time starter, and that just really usually that hasn't necessarily been the case the last few champions.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting season because I think you have a couple teams. We said this about LSU of like how sometimes you bring all these transfers in, which LSU did bring a lot of high profile transfers in. It just didn't work for one reason or another. And then you have sometimes teams, whether they're bringing transfers in and everything, or retaining people or whatever. But sometimes like the whole is better than the parts. And I think you have a couple teams, several teams actually, the top teams right now that I think fall into that category. I think Georgia Tech falls in that category. I think Ole Miss falls in that category. Um, well, Vandy, I think a lot of that's Pavia and just what he's doing. But I think you have a lot of teams that are just like
You could say the
on.
Hoosiers, right? Like,
Oh
sure,
yeah,
they
for
have some
sure.
standout
That
players,
that's
but
that's the that I was
yeah,
trying to think of who's the premier example. Yeah, I think Indiana is probably the premier example of the whole being better than the sum of the parts, right? So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I just think that there's coaching's just at such a premium, like in college football now. I think that's why Lane's and Ole Miss are having a lot of success because he is one of the more tenured coaches in the SEC now. And I think that really says something for his ability to, go and get his first big road win, and
yeah,
yeah,
and
you just
land a real big job next
yeah,
year.
well, he went. I think he went on. I didn't see it, but didn't I think he went on McAfee today or yesterday and was like, "I'm not leaving. Like I'm not going anywhere." So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens.
What's the Nick Kroll like?
Yeah, who knows, man? I mean, maybe
No
he'll.
chance.
Eh,
Zero chance he stays. Zero chance. I can tell you now there is no chance he stays at Ole Miss
I'll.
because it is a very small, remote location. And while people have this glorified idea of what Ole Miss is because of the Grove, the stadium's not overly spectacular. It's in bumfuck, hard to get to. Um, I mean, it's not in like fertile recruiting grounds as far as like states go. Mississippi's better than some places, but it's not Louisiana, it's not
Mhm.
Georgia, it's not
Florida.
Florida,
Yeah.
right? So no, I think he's reshaped his image, even though he's still him. As far as images, like his failures at other places,
Yeah.
right? Um, and obviously has a chance to continue. It's not like the season's over with. This was finally he broke through and beat a ranked team on the road. Um, but yeah, I think he's gonna parlay all of this and
S-
get out of Dodge.
So I will. I'll do this. I will put a bottle of whiskey on that
That
for this season.
he
That he stays.
stays, or
That he
do I have
stays.
to pick? Okay, so
Yeah.
you think he stays?
I
I
think
think
he
he goes.
stays at Ole Miss for next season. Like, if he retires, obviously, or bets off, right? But like, if he coaches
Sure.
football next year, and I think there's no chance he goes to the league. But if he does go to the league, that's out of the like. I think that's so far field, like that wouldn't happen. But like,
Nah.
yeah, I think he stays. If he is coaching college football next year, I think it'll be in Oxford, and I'll put a bottle on that.
Okay.
Um, but do you want to take like do a quick little ranking of like what are the top spots, like
It's
for
LSU. I know you're gonna feel a certain way about LSU, but it's LSU.
no, I
It's
agree.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
yeah.
probably you could make a genuine argument that LSU is a top three job in all of college football, regardless of the openings, right?
What would be the other two?
I would say Texas is
Yep.
one.
Hmm.
I would say LSU, and then I would probably say
Ohio
it's
State?
tricky. I would say probably Ohio State.
Hmm.
I will say Alabama has crept up because of what Saban's done, but
Hmm.
like when you really look at Alabama, it's Bear, one random year in the 90s, and then Saban.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mind you, that's a lot of years,
Yeah.
but like it's basically been two Hall of Fame, arguably top three coaches of all time, and
Yeah.
then dog shit. There's
Yeah.
like not been a lot of fluctuating with Alabama,
Yeah.
but maybe Saban has like set them on a path that like
Yeah.
is gonna be hopefully in your case like
Mhm.
irreversible. But I think people get probably clouded by that just always being this fantastic job in
I
XYZ and yeah, I don't
I
necessarily think
I
that's the
I
case.
think I think LSU is certainly in the top three. I think Ohio State's got to be in the top three.
Yeah,
I don't know that Texas is because of
no.
the opinions. Like that's I think there's a lot of heavy opinions there. I think you
What
saw
like
that
from
the
donor, like from other people?
boosters
Yeah,
from boosters from the administration from stuff like that. I think that's like certainly LSU and Ohio State are opinionated, but I think Texas is a little more like
mm,
when Charlie Strong was let go and stuff like that. I think there was a lot of
yeah.
opinions that went into that. Um,
Because I'm thinking like when I think of that, I'm
I don't
thinking
know
of
who I'd
like
replace it with though. That's
it's
hard.
like your recruiting ground. I would say like in Ohio, always surprisingly really good in high school football. It usually ranks a top five states, along with the South, right? It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
weird little pocket of like you have Texas, you have, like Georgia, you have Los Angeles, and then it's like, but then you can probably say Louisiana or Alabama, and
Hmm.
then like Ohio's right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have that.
Did you say Florida? Did I miss
In
Florida?
Florida, yeah, in
Yeah,
Florida, yeah. So yeah, I would say it's always top six, seven, like
yeah,
in recruiting. So you don't even have to leave the state if you don't want to.
yeah.
Um, then you have fun money even before NIL has never been an issue,
Mhm.
and then you have just like it is the professional team, right? The Browns have
Yeah.
been dog shit for so long. The Bengals is really just a pocket. It's just Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
There's no one, if you don't live in Cincinnati city limits, like you're not a fan of anything Cincinnati. So that goes for it. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's a good determining factor. So like with Texas, it's football in Texas is obviously football in Texas. It's
Mm.
always had the money. Obviously, it's not the only show in town, but it's the second show in town,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'd see that. And then Louisiana, same thing. Like the Saints are cute. Like they've actually,
Yeah.
it's hard for people of our age to know that the Saints have actually been one of the worst franchises in NFL history because we saw, we lived the
We saw
pocket.
them. Yeah. We saw them at the prime. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I would say it's LSU by a landslide, and
I will
um
also say the Saints have were back when that AI generated stadiums was popular. The Saints, I think, were my favorite stadium because it was
oh
like a
yeah.
big, cathedral with like the stained glasses. I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, so we agree that and I think the thing about LSU too, LSU and Ohio State for sure. Just there is, I think, a level of patience there. Like I think they were pretty paid. I mean, Ryan
Mhm.
Day paid it off. I had he not paid it off last year, who
Sure.
knows what happened. I think they were fairly patient with Brian Kelly because I think there's a lot of people that were like, it's funny though. The AD that hired Brian Kelly is the same AD that hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, he's responsible for two of the biggest buyouts in college. Yeah,
Whoopsies.
whoopsies. Um, yeah. Okay, so LSU's number one. So the let's kind of like go down the list a little bit then. So I think the next two, I have a list pulled up here. The next
Mhm.
two, let's kind of like go through it. We'll just choose which one's better, and then we'll kind of keep going down the list because I looked at this list. I don't necessarily agree with it. LSU's one. Penn State, Florida.
I
Which
would
one's
say
better?
I would say Florida. I mean,
Yeah,
as much as I'm annoyed with the
yeah,
SEC, and it is the better job.
yes, yeah.
Because again, like the fertile recruiting ground, not that Penn State is like terrible, but it's definitely a tier below. Like
Well,
Pennsylvania
yes.
gets good recruit, like has a good high school football and stuff like that, but
Oh,
it's not
I
Florida,
don't even
Georgia.
think it's the caliber of player in Pennsylvania because I mean I'm biased, but I think that Pennsylvania has excellent players.
Yeah,
I think it's the competition from Ohio State. I
sure.
think that
Hmm.
like that is just overwhelming competition
Yeah.
to have to deal with because they've been little brother for so long, you know? That's I think the biggest issue with Penn State. Florida, I mean, you have a lot of kids who I feel like in the South it's like I this is the case in Penn. There's plenty of Pennsylvanians that drink the blue Kool-Aid. But I feel like in the South, especially, like if you grew up as a Florida fan or your family's a Florida fan, you're not considering Florida State or Miami. Like I think that it's same with like LSU. Like that, there's a big thing. I think it was Eli Apple or Landon Collins, who when he went to Alabama, his mom was so pissed because like he was, his mom had like
Yeah.
Louisiana State gloves on and stuff. So, um, yeah. So I think Florida is definitely better just because
And
patience is the
truthfully, the
big,
money. Like I know that Penn State's getting this influx of Adidas money, and
yeah,
so that probably helps them level the playing field. But like I don't know what that deal is for how long, but I just feel like there's always been money in Florida because again, there's not a lot of competition, right? Like with these college school, like the Dolphins aren't a thing. Like the
yeah.
Bucks, I mean, have had success, but like I don't think that it's such a and then Jackson was a joke. I don't think people in Orlando are necessarily like hell yeah, I'm a Bucks
Yeah.
fan. Like no, you're more likely to be a fan of one of these school like colleges than you are the professional
I
sports.
also think the only issue with Florida is the level of competition you have to get past, right? Like you have to contend with Georgia, you have to contend with Alabama and stuff. But I do think that the rearranging of SEC, well, SEC I think is toughest conference to play, and that's definitely biased. But like I think that's the only thing that like Florida has going against it. But Penn State also your bar is always Ohio State,
Yeah.
and like that's the one. Like it seems like it it feels like okay, that's just like one school that you have to beat. but like I think that you can have an 8-win season in Florida and be looked at more positively than an 11-win season at Penn State with your one loss being to Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Agree?
like, yeah, I also think like if the ultimate, which I would imagine should be at these two schools, the goal is to win a national championship. There's something to be said now that the playoff is expanded to 12, to have to go through it, right?
Hmm.
Like I would rather be a two-loss team that ends up being like, maybe hosting a playoff game, but having to play in the first round, maybe have to, go on the road, but I've been through it, right? I've been through the
Hmm.
gauntlet versus being like an undefeated team in a lesser conference and then facing your first real opponent in the playoff,
So
right?
that's
Like,
why I'm wondering about Ohio State because like
so right,
I mean they're shit pumping teams. Now, granted, I think they shit pumped Illinois and Washington, who I both think are
they're
pretty
okay.
good, but like
Yeah,
they're
but they're
not.
okay. They're okay.
Yeah, they're
They're
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
They're not playoff teams. So
no,
like is there something to be said that okay, yes, is it harder for a person at Florida to get to the playoff? Yes. But if you do, you're probably more likely to advance because
yeah,
you've earned that
yeah,
spot,
yeah,
right? Where unfortunately with the Big Ten, especially now, like I don't think they get more than three teams in, right?
yeah,
I think it's just Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. All right,
So
so we're saying LSU, Florida. All right, Penn State. Rank that against, and this is interesting. I think at least it gives me a little pause. Virginia Tech.
yeah, it's Penn State. Like
Yeah.
I feel like if you have like that top elite tier where it's like you could pull someone out of I'll honestly I'll phrase it like this, and I know it's nonsensical, but like if I'm LSU, my first calls are to Saban and to Urban.
Hmm.
And there's only a couple schools that can do that. Now, do
Hmm.
they get no's? Probably,
Yeah.
right? Just
Hmm.
because they could very well just be done.
Yeah.
But like there's only a handful of schools that can even make that call without
Yeah.
them just not even like answering, or they just do a fart noise into the phone, right? Like so it's like that's where Florida and LSU are.
It
Then
doesn't
it's
even
like
get past what's his
right.
face, his agent, who's the Jimmy Sexton. Like
Yeah.
Jimmy Sexton doesn't even pick up the call. Yeah,
No,
if
he
you're,
looks at the area code and he's like, Pennsylvania, no, no chance,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't even
Or
answer it.
yeah, you're not picking up for Oregon State.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
no.
right.
So I feel like you have that. Then I feel like the next tier is like that's Penn State is very solidly in that next tier. Um, and as far as these other openings, I don't know that there's another opening on that level currently. There are some that could potentially open up
Mhm.
by the end of the year, but I would say that they're pretty solid, especially with this Adidas money. I'd say they're pretty solidly in that next tier, and then I feel like everyone else is below that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that like they gave James Franklin so much time. Uh, but I do think that well, I think there could perhaps be a lack of patience with the next head coach, right?
Sure.
Like I think that they could be willing to pull the trigger more quickly given how long they waited on Franklin and it really turned out negatively for them. So I think that would be interesting. I also thought it would be interesting. What if Clark Leah, because Vanderbilt's having a great season. What if Clark Leah ends up going to, because where James Franklin was before he went to Penn State,
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. So all right. So
Yeah.
after
It'll be interesting. So he's from Nashville. It just depends. Like
I don't
that's a
think I
big
don't think he's
thing.
leaving, but I
Yeah.
just yeah, yeah.
I could see him leaving, but I don't know that he'd go north. Like there really is something to be said about like understanding
The South.
um well, just understanding where you're coaching, right? And I mean,
Mhm.
we're going through that. It was definitely something with Michigan State that everyone, including myself, was like,
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great
hesitant
point.
about is when you
Yeah,
have a dude that's never been, California guy, alma mater's in
it's a great point.
Oregon, never came, west of Colorado before taking this or east of Colorado before taking this job. Like there's a lot of like hesitation. Brian Kelly, like I think we talked about it probably on the pod, like him going from having all of his roots in Ohio and in that area, Indiana, to then go down to especially a place like Louisiana.
Hmm.
Um, That's a hard thing to do.
Hmm.
Really. So then that's what I'd say. So if you're like a guy like Clark Lee, even if it's a great job up in Penn State, like, but where are your local recruiting ties?
Yeah.
Like, where are your
Yeah.
understanding of like what Penn State and Ohio State means to each other?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
can see it on a TV, but
Mhm.
you don't know it.
Does the man know about the land grant trophy? Like that's yeah.
I don't think he does,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. All
So
right.
yeah,
So, and stop me anytime if this exercise is getting boring, but I'm having a nice time. You have a nice time?
yeah,
Have a nice listeners, you guys have a nice time? Knock on wood if you're with me. All right, so we are actually pretty well in lock. For the record, I agree. I think Penn State with the amount, I do think Virginia Tech would be a lot of fun. Like
sure.
I think that'd be a fun thing. I think Blacksburg's a great environment.
Hmm.
Enter Sandman's awesome. You got awesome uniforms. There's a lot of great history there, right? That like you want to that would be a really fun program to revitalize. Um, Not a great uh recruiting but
South Virginia, that Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Suffolk, like that.
compared to the other three schools we talked about,
Correct.
that's where and I think that there's a tier, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you look at like and you're also in the ACC, right? When
Yeah.
you look at recruiting in the Big Ten versus the SEC, recruiting for the ACC, I think is definitely a little bit tougher. So
Sure. And
now
money too.
here's
Like, I don't know that they have the money.
right, right. Well, there's a lot of engineers, a lot of smart folks. Okay, so well, let's put that to the test, right? Because then we have Virginia Tech's next, right? And let's put them against a school in the SEC, a school that definitely has at least one alumnus with a ton of money, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, no, it's Arkansas. The problem with Arkansas is they're
They
they're
already have their coach in Bobby Petrino.
they're just they're the can't get out of like the SEC is a negative thing for them, right?
Yeah.
Because they are clearly in a tier below everyone else. Um, and that makes it hard, right?
Hmm.
Like, it's one thing if you're on the upper end of the tiering in the SEC, but when you're in the next tier,
Hmm.
it's tough. So you just have
Work
to
it.
have
It's working in Vanderbilt. It's working
it
in
is, but
Vanderbilt right now.
yes, for 2 years out of like 70. So
Well, actually, McAfee makes a really good point that like Vanderbilt does have a pretty big NIL endowment,
now,
and they're in Nashville,
yeah,
which yeah, I think it's a pretty easy sell to college kids to be like, hey, come to school in Nashville. Just walk down Broad Street. That's their main street, right?
Broadway.
Broadway, right? Walk down Broadway
Yes.
and feast
It
your eyes.
yes, and sorry, Tom, if you're listening to this. I agree to a certain point, but like it's good that they finally have an AD that like and the school is finally allowing money to be spent on sports because it traditionally has been very strictly academic.
You don't say.
But at the same time, like if you live in the state of Tennessee, you're not, unless you're an alum of Vanderbilt, you're not a Vanderbilt fan. So that
Yeah.
already like limits
Well, I think
that part,
yeah.
right? Like if you're, and Nashville is a pretty transplant area now because of
Well, no, I mean, well, hold on. I do think that I might disagree with that. That if you're not an alum, you're not a fan because I do think that there's like look at Nate Bargatze who did the guest picking. Like he's a Vandy fan. He said he's been a Vandy. I mean, who knows? He's on live TV, so he's gonna say what he's gonna say. But like he said he's been a Vandy fan for a long time. And then they
okay,
got all these country music stars to show up, which yeah, again I think that's not the
I
first time
I
that
would
either
be
of those artists have been on game day. So
right.
Dirk Bentley and oh come on, Kane Chesney have been on game day, but still, I think that there is, but that goes with them being good, right? If they were
Sure.
dog shit, I think that Kane Chesney and Dirk Bentley, well, Dirk Bentley went to Vandy, I think, right?
Okay, so there's an
I
alum.
think maybe.
I mean, yes, it has worked for now. It's going to be really interesting to see if they can make it work without a 40-year-old quarterback playing against a bunch of 19-year-olds. So I think there's a little bit of like lightning in a bottle right now, and especially if like the coach ends up getting poached, like where are they going to be at? But the thing is, that's never changed though, right? Like it's always been Nashville. That university has never moved.
Mhm.
So there's always been a selling point to go to Tennessee, and go to Nashville. But if the recruiting class, again, a lot of it has been academia that's limited them, and it probably will continue to limit them to a certain point, similar to Stanford. But, um, I don't know. I mean, that happens, right? Like these magical seasons happen, right? We've seen Arkansas look good at times. We've seen these other programs. I mean, Illinois, for God's sakes, Indiana, for like it can come in waves, but like I don't know that I would say it's going to be like long term sustainable. Missouri, right? Like I don't know. Maybe it will. Hopefully it will. I like it when
Yeah.
programs have these, you know, reemergences and parity, and it's not just the same three schools winning the national championship. But I don't know.
I also may have stumbled onto some gold with Dirk Bentley's Wikipedia page because very interesting early life and that he was born in Phoenix. He went to high schools in Indiana, graduated from the Lawrenceville School in New Jersey, then spent a year in the University of Vermont before transferring to Vanderbilt, where he did graduate in 1997. Beyond that, his alias, I did someone has to be like I have no idea if this is true, if this is a real thing he goes by, or this is just someone just updating it for fun. His alias is his background information, also known as Douglas Doug Douglason.
Okay.
That's I need to know more about that. Douglas Doug in apostrophes is his nickname. Douglason
So
is
what
his alias.
you need to do is you need to go, like, if you ever want to meet the man, you probably just need to call really expensive places in Nashville, like restaurants, and ask for the reservation under Doug Douglason, because that sounds like something you would use to
Oh,
like.
there's an American country music and parody music band formed by Dirk Bentley, and he's the lead singer, Doug Douglas Douglason.
Yeah.
Uh, with other member of the bands performing under the name Trevor Travis, Ray Roburn, and oh, I'm not even gonna try the fiddle player's name. And Monty Montgomery on the drums. So yeah, it's a parody country band. All right, so there's that. Okay, all right, so LSU, Florida, Penn State, top tier. Arkansas, then Virginia Tech, tumbling a little bit, going against UCLA.
UCLA is a shit job, and it's a shame from the standpoint of where it's located. Um, but there's just so many things going against it. You have this beautiful stadium that people have to get bused to, students. So you have a shit like atmosphere. You have a school that does not give any shits about football and are giving no money there. And now especially with someone like Oregon on the West Coast pulling
Mm-hmm.
kids from Los Angeles, which has not been the case, right? Like USC especially, and you have to fight USC, typically cornered the market for that recruiting
Yeah,
grounds,
that
but now
area.
those
Yep.
kids are
Mm-hmm.
leaving. So, because I feel like those kids don't realize, what they have,
Mm-hmm.
what LA means. You got a kid from like Louisiana, and he just stays home, even though you're like, you can go to like anywhere, right? You don't have to stay in
Yeah.
Shreveport. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like Baton Rouge is this fucking, great place to live. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I would say honestly, UCLA is probably one of the worst places to be, and I know a perfect person that can go there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
hometown
can.
team. Go ahead.
There you
I
go.
grew up loving the Bruins. Go
All
back
right.
out west.
Then Bruins versus here, interesting one. Bruins versus the Stanford Cardinal. With
Honestly,
keep in mind
I'd say the Cardinal, because you not only have
Andrew
Luck
Luck.
as the general, He also they have Frank Wright there too.
Hmm.
So you have more buy-in in that program than they've had over the last, since Harbaugh is well, even Shaw. So Shaw's great. So since like David Shaw has left, and even the late years of David Shaw, I think it's similar to Vanderbilt, where I think like now that school is gonna spend a little bit and potentially allow a little bit less of an academic people onto their campus. And it is a selling point to have someone like Luck, who knows football, who knows college football, and Reich, who's
Hmm.
been through the gambit. There, like the UCLA doesn't have those people, even if
Yeah.
they have even maybe a little bit more resources, and clearly their bar to get into the school and play football is much lower. Um, I actually do think that Stanford's probably the better job there.
Would Oklahoma State jump either of the California schools for you? Either or both?
I don't know. It's just been Gundy. That's the problem, man. It's just like you don't know. I mean, they are in the Big 12. I really don't know. I mean, I don't think Stillwater. I mean, I don't know much about
Well,
Stillwater.
you're close to Texas, so you have that pipeline,
You
right?
have a little
Nate's,
bit of money, right? I think
yeah.
don't they have whoever the name stake Boone stadium? I
T.
think
Boone
they
Pickens, yeah. Well, he's
Yeah, I
dead.
think they have. I
So,
think they have a decent amount of endowment
well, he's
for
dead though.
football. Well, yeah, I
So
know, like
that's yeah.
from there,
Yeah.
um, because I
Um,
think he was oil.
yes.
I would
Yes.
probably say above potentially UCLA, but definitely below Stanford. I would say, but I don't
Yeah.
know. That's the thing. All we've known is Gundy,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
don't know if someone can be successful there.
Yeah. For sure.
I
For
have no
sure.
idea. I hope so.
Yeah.
We love the Pokes.
We do love the Pokes. It's a that would be a fun like much like Virginia Tech for me. That would be a that'd be a fun one. So, all
Yeah,
right. Well, that was a fun little exercise. Is there
it
any
was.
teams? Is there anyone else on the hot seat right now? I was
I
trying to think
mean, you
about.
have to think if Clemson can buy Dabo out, they're going to probably consider it.
Really?
I think so. I think you're approaching. I think you're approaching like his stubbornness and unwilling to change, and them getting further and further behind in the shit conference they're in, and the strength of everyone else's conference. And I know the school wants to leave and have more money, and is gonna probably continue to actively, like Florida State, look to get out of their ACC contract. Um, and it probably will happen as it gets closer and closer, and like the buyout is less and less to get out of it. Um, but yeah, it's tricky, man. Like you can't
Hmm.
you don't want to go back to Clemson being bumfuck mountain South Carolina with, kind of a cool stadium, not really. I mean, when you're a program like that, and an end zone is grass, like
Yeah.
it's not on par with everyone
Yeah.
else. It's just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I would. It's a tricky, and since there has been, like, it's in the South, so your recruiting's fine. They have money. They have a pedigree now that they can, tip their hat towards. I would say Dabo's not. I wouldn't say he's 100% safe.
I think he's at least a year away. I
Okay.
think I don't even think his seat is warm quite yet. I think it
Oof.
depends what happens with the rest of the season. What's their schedule look like?
I mean, they're 3-4 right now. They're Penn State bad.
Oh, that's
They're 3-4. Like they're going to be potentially not making a bowl. Like that's
they
a question
lost. Yeah,
mark.
they are LSU, Georgia
So
Tech, Syracuse. They beat UNC.
so
They
now they
just
have Duke.
lost
Duke
to
has a
SMU.
pulse. Florida State's in a very similar spot, but that's at home. So
Norvell's
that's
probably next on the chopping block.
yeah.
That's probably the hottest seed.
Okay.
Louisville they have coming up, and then
But they're
South
going
Carolina
to
at the end of the
there.
year. Yeah,
I mean, so they need three more wins. So Furman's one, maybe Florida State's two. Like those
yeah,
three wins aren't
yeah. I
just
guess if
an
they miss a
easy.
bowl, what do you do? Although to be fair, Dabo did say he's just now learning how to coach, so don't take that for granted. Who's the safest job in the nation? And there is a correct answer to this. Which
So
coach
does
has
this
the
have to be
coolest
someone that
throne?
was maybe on a warm
No,
seat
no,
that
no, no,
has
no, no. Just in general, like who, who do you think has the coolest seat, coolest throne? Who's sitting and chilling right now?
um
There's a right answer to this because you can't really say Kalen DeBoer because even though
no, because the
had
fan
they
base is a fucking nuts,
well
and
had
if
they
he
lost to
loses,
South Carolina it would, but yeah, because it would have been yeah. I can't really say Lane because there's a lot of track left there. Can't really say Ryan Day either because even though they are the defending national champions, if
if they
things
lose
start
to
to go off
Michigan
the rails,
again,
huh?
if they lose to Michigan again,
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna have a lot of people pissed
a lot
off.
of noise, a lot of noise.
Uh,
I'll
I
tell
mean,
you who it
Signetti
is.
obviously just got paid, but that doesn't mean he's gonna stay. The fucking
That no,
buyout's a
that's that
joke.
no, I that's it. Signetti, like there. I don't think he could go take a lap around campus naked, and I don't think anyone would they would make
No, yeah, but I would
yeah.
say he's not safe to stay at Indiana.
No,
I
no, no.
think,
The
yeah.
lowest risk of getting fired is
Oh,
is where
yeah,
I'm coming
yeah,
after.
it's probably him. Landing's probably up there too, but I'll
You
tell you
think
what.
Lanning?
I'll tell you what, man.
I think he's
If I'm LSU, that's the phone call I'm making after
oh
the two
if
big
I'm Penn
dogs.
State, if I'm Penn State, if I'm LSU, if I'm
But if I'm landing, I won't go to Penn
Florida,
State. I'm going back to the fertile grounds that got me to where I'm at now. And I think like I do think he has been saying the right things. He wants to stay to the university that has kept him, or gave him his opportunity. And obviously Phil Knight can pay him money, but like he's only making 11 million a year. And LSU is going to probably pay someone 15 to 16. And now,
yeah,
people will squabble over, well, it's 4 million compared to, well,
yeah.
okay. He's also in Oregon, which probably has a bit more state taxes than Louisiana. But I don't know. If I'm a Ducks fan, I told Dave this and he was like, this didn't even clock for me because I don't think people out there, especially like realize how good of a job LSU is. But like I would be nervous if I'm a Ducks fan. I want that LSU job to be filled. I
I
do
also
not.
wouldn't I also wouldn't be if I'm LSU, that might not be one of my first calls or Penn State because Dan Lanning also has not won the big one, like a big game yet. We've talked about this. We talked about this on the pod. We talked about it with Dave. I mean, I think that the whiteout at Penn State was a big game, but it wasn't like the game. Like losing to
Sure.
Washington twice, getting your doors blown off by Signetti in Indiana at home. Like you
Yeah,
know,
but then you can make that argument. Okay, who's the coach right now that you would take like that has won the big game? Because you could say like obviously Kirby was a coordinator, he wasn't a head coach before he did, and even then that's looking less and less in class. One amazing class, and
mhm.
they have not been real national contender threats over the last few years. Obviously,
Yeah,
DeBoer has done nothing but poach on other people's work.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he has not yet proven that he can sustain
I would
a program.
yeah,
Franklin didn't win anything like
yeah,
well, we know he hasn't won anything. Like if you're actually like if you're holding out Dabo was an assistant, like if you're holding out for someone that is a proven national champion to like
yeah,
to poach, like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
have a bad
yeah.
time.
No, I like I think Kenny Dillingham is a name I really would be
I mean,
interested
they
in.
might not make a playoff. They went from like a shocking season to maybe not even making a playoff this year.
Sure, sure. But
I'd take Landing over Dillingham, especially since like the recruiting and the SEC pedigree, like he knows what it takes. Um, I don't know.
I think it's harder to do. I give him a lot of credit for what he did last year. They were picked to be in the basement of the
Sure.
pack of the sorry of the if
The
only
Big 12.
the basement of the Big 12. Yes, and what he did last year was huge. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably
Signetti. Like you could make an argument that Signetti is probably like the dude because he's won national championships at the
He's
FCS level.
absolutely number one. I consider him, unlike the salt and pepper, that's not on the table.
I
So
he should be. His buyout's like $11 million. It's not even anything. Like these guys have just bought out like Franklin and all these huge Brian Kelly spending like
but
tens of millions of dollars, and Signetti's buyout's like 15 million
he
you'd
does
have to
he
pay
does have a
Indiana.
good thing going though, because he is, I think, the new portal king ahead of Lane. And I think the money that Indiana has is preposterous. So
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, I mean, I wouldn't take him because of his age, right? I guess it depends. If you're just looking for a couple years, but I would be nervous about his age. But I don't know if I'm thinking LSU, if you can't pull Saban or Urban out of retirement, it's a risk to go down the Napier path of trying to find a dude that's like, like a Tulane has a guy Summerall that's great, obviously already in Tulane, like a Louisiana dude. Like there are options, but like that's a big risk. I would
mhm.
probably go get that, go get that guy, go
Yeah,
get that landing guy because he's
yeah,
at least proven to be competent, right?
yeah.
Like won the Big Ten in his first year in the Big Ten.
That's true.
There's
That's
Penn
true.
State still is looking for winning the Big Ten, right?
Hmm.
Like Michigan went decades looking for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
It should be interesting though, because I do think there's going to be a lot of chaos when you have jobs like LSU in Florida. That's likely going to pull people from potentially other big schools, similar to how LSU pulled, Notre Dame and
Bama
um,
pulled, DeBoer from
yeah,
Washington at their
right.
height of
Like
their powers. Yeah.
I,
Hmm.
I think we're going to have that happen again. Yeah, and then we'll see because
The
then other
only the
people have
only
to fill those
question
spots.
is, are you gonna want these people to be what's the timing of having people in seat because of the portal
Yeah.
window, right? That's the big thing because the portal windows was January,
When did they changed it so there's only one, and
right? It's
it's
in
the one is
January.
at the end of, yeah, at the end of the year,
And
right?
it's
Instead of
it's
in the
such a
spring.
bullshit thing because there's teams still playing. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, they needed to just push it back to like, I don't know, February. I don't know why it
I don't
has
know
to
if
be
the
in
only
season.
reason why they're doing it is because it's easier to like, not miss a full semester or whatever, but like when has that when has education's, gotten in the way of the NCAA making decisions. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. You're right. But I would honestly like sacrifice a year to get the right guy than to get the wrong guy because of the timing. I would be willing to like still have a pretty damn good class, especially if there's enough like leaked rumors about people, right? Like,
yeah,
um,
if you're Florida, yeah, you can make hay on the Lane Kiffin rumors at this point. So,
right.
well, or LSU. Honestly, LSU could probably make hay on Lane Kiffin rumors at this point too. So,
Yeah. And you
there's
just, yeah, you just pay,
apparently,
pay kids to stay. Just be like, hey, listen, we promise we got someone coming in. We can give you this check. Stick around.
yeah, no,
It'll be worth it.
it's funny because there's all those Lane to Florida rumors, but then you hear rumors now that like LSU has apparently been a job he's always coveted. So I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah, it's
my
just
bet
tricky,
still
man.
stands. I think he'll be coach at Oxford next
I
year.
I
So
I think he leaves, but yeah, I don't
yeah.
know if I love Lane and LSU because they've already had an imposter come in, and I feel like Lane just gives those vibes where he just
Imposter vibes?
like imposter as in he's not like from Louisiana, like Brian Kelly coming down and talking about the family.
He's the head coach in Mississippi. It's the next
And
state over.
and even that is a push. They just need they took a guy not because he's one of them. They took a guy because they were like, well,
He
he's
coached at
available.
Tennessee. He coached at Alabama.
Yeah, but he's Lane. He's
He
not
knows the
Louisiana.
SEC.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
buddy, I gotta disagree with you.
do you
There
know
is
where he's from?
worlds
Do you
the
know where he's from?
the imposter regardless of where I do not know where he's from. Where's he from? I'll
He's
let
from
you.
Nebraska.
Fine, but to even compare the imposter syndrome of or
It's
not
not
even imposter
success.
syndrome, just the imposter. ruse that was portrayed by Brian Kelly in LSU versus Lane. Like it's worlds apart. Worlds apart.
He went to school in Minnesota. Like, I don't know, man. I
No,
just
dude.
think like if you're Louisiana
No, no,
specifically,
no.
you want someone like an Orgeron that's like you don't need to have someone off a Creole
No,
bowl. Like
dude.
you don't need someone like that. But I feel like you need someone that's a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit more in tune to
No,
the South.
the diff I'll tell you what the difference is. I'll boil it down. Tell me if this is fair. If what you're basically saying is like Lane is like, having an actor portray a military soldier even though they've never served in the military versus like Brian Kelly is like a grifter portraying a Nigerian prince that just needs $1,000 to like, make a
Sure.
bank transfer and then he'll
Yeah.
pay you 100,000,
Yeah.
So
I don't know. That it just be me, right? Like if you're thinking of all these people to take, if you're LSU, you've already taken this northerner, right? It'd be the same thing. Like, does Ryan Day fit in an
would
SEC
not
school?
be the
Could
same.
Ryan Day be at Georgia? It wouldn't be the same.
If if Wayne wasn't coaching in the next state over and having coached in the other state over and having coached
Unsuccessfully.
in the unsuccessfully.
Tennessee was a nightmare.
I'm sorry. I was saying Alabama.
He didn't coach there. He
He
got
was an
left on
offensive
the
coordinator. He was still a coach. He recruited.
that got left at a stadium.
He won a national championship. That was an accident.
Right. He
That
won
was
a
an
national
accident. Them leaving
championship
him at the stadium was the
and
accident.
you can in his name on that long list of assistants, right? You're acting like he was the golden child on a national championship team that included what? Walk
Ah,
me through all the other people on that. Do we need to do this before we jump in? Do I need to walk you through because you already are well and knowing of all the position coaches? He's
okay.
the guy.
He
He's the
was
guy.
well, he was the offensive coordinator. He
Sure,
was calling the plays
but
for
he
a
was not the
national
guy.
championship team. He was the guy that ran that offense.
So if you were to pick one person from that entire coaching staff, he's the guy you would take. Not even close. Your hesitation is enough.
Well,
You're thinking of Kirby. You don't even got to
yeah,
go further than Kirby.
I mean, but that's it. Those are the only two.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let me
Those
just
are the
pull
only
this up.
two.
Go ahead. Let me pull this up. What year was it? You already
Go
have it on the
ahead.
top of your head.
2016.
2016, Alabama. Let me just read for all the
Cristobal
people
was on the
here.
staff.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's just go through all the people here. Okay, so we have Steve Sarkeesian. Okay, he's a bum.
Or wait, do
Oh.
2015. 2015. 2015 was on. I don't want to get my years mixed up.
Yeah, Dan Lanning, Cristobal,
Yeah, 2015
Napier,
is the year.
Mel, Saban. I would
I'm
say
well,
here, if you are looking at this, I I don't know. I just yeah. I'm gonna put a little bit more stock in like Nick Saban than in
I
Lane
mean,
Kiffin.
obviously Saban. Like, if the question is who would I rather have as a coach, Saban or Lane, it's Saban. But yeah, all right. So you have Lane, Kirby, but Kirby's the only one. Like Cristobal, no. Napier, no. Uh, Tosh, no. Mel Tucker, certainly not. Maybe Scotty Cochran. Scotty was the man. Um, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just not like overly impressed with what Lane has done. Like you're talking like he's been a coach, and maybe it's not his fault because he was head coach so young, right? So we've had so much like run of him, but like he's pretty much failed at every spot and then had to go back to dad. It's daddy. Miss Terry literally just bodied both him and Kirby like 2 weeks ago. So he had to go back to daddy. And then even in Ole Miss, while it's been good, it hasn't been great. Like we are literally talking about his first like memorable, like his first actual win, right? Like meaningful win, and it just happened.
Wasn't Ole Miss your
Just.
national champion last year in our
I
preseason rankings?
I had them in the final four, which was a great thing, right? Like clearly he has
Uh-huh.
an eye for talent because of his defensive coordinator, if we want to bring that guy back up.
Oh,
Right. So if you're talking about like his decision making, that was a great one.
you
Um,
may have actually just won your argument by bringing up Ryan Golding. You may have
he
actually.
went,
You
hey,
know what?
I
You
got
know
the
what? I
best
concede.
roster
I
I've ever
concede.
had.
You know what? I'm good, man. You know what? Actually, you win now. That yeah, I concede. I concede. Actually, it is a effing miracle. It is an absolute miracle that they have done what they've done with Golding as their defensive coordinator. So you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
All right, guys, we are well in over an hour, but
yeah.
there's a reason for this because this trophy we're going to talk about today, the battle for the milk can, is going to be classified as one of those not a ton of information available, unfortunately for us. So we decided that this would be a pretty good week to talk shop about other things because unlike the last few trophies we've talked about, this one is yeah, there's not a ton. So the Milk Can Games played between Boise State and Fresno State. Do you know what this trophy looks like? I had seen pictures prior to us like doing
I can
this.
take a guess.
Well, that's usually what I say next. Do you have any guesses to what this milk can looks like?
I don't know what it looks like, but I'm guessing it's just a big milk can.
So what
Not milk
if
jug.
for people I was gonna say, so for people that are just like are you talking about like I'm going to the grocery store and I'm
No, no,
getting
no, 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 no,
a gallon of milk?
no, 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 no. A milk can, a milk canister, as you would see at the farm. You know, steel, two handles, flat lid on top, milk can. That's what I'm guessing.
Similar to one that I don't even know where is the one that Kara bought. That's a milk can, isn't
We
it?
sold it.
Oh, you
We
did.
sold it. Yeah, I fought against it, but yeah, we sold it.
All right. Well, I guess we will see if you're right about the milk can looking like a milk can. So a bit of a snapshot of the rivalry. The first matchup was in 1977. Fresno won 42 to 7, and Fresno won the first three games. However, Boise won 10 out of the next 11. And Boise leads the series 17 wins to 9 losses.
Hmm. Not. I mean, it's not played a whole bunch. I
Mhm.
mean, only started in '77, but still, I would have expected them to play more. But okay.
A little bit of a small school, which I don't necessarily think these guys are small per se, but smaller. Or I think Fresno's actually a pretty big city, but maybe less known schools. If Boise wasn't good at football, most people would not even like think about Boise. So
No,
we'll start there. Truthfully, there wasn't a ton on either of these schools, so it's not.
really.
This is not really encouraging. I'm sorry, everyone. I
Oh
want to talk
boy.
about this because it's especially right up our alley, being like a couple of Pac-12 opponents. But we also love Mountain West, where they were formerly at or currently at, but
Yeah.
will not be starting next year. There wasn't a ton. So with Boise, something interesting. They are the only school in the nation that offers a master's degree in raptor biology.
Raptor biology,
Sure.
like
Yes. Yeah.
velociraptors.
Yes.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
Uh,
Velociraptors, not like
correct.
raptors, like because hawks are an example of a bird that's considered a raptor.
Yeah.
We're talking,
I mean, there actually was shockingly not a ton of information on it. Potentially, it probably involves former like descendants of the
yeah.
current Raptors,
Mhm.
but yes.
Uh,
But even that is very specific, right? Like you
yeah.
can have like a biology of like a birds as a general,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of
Hmm.
things you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get a very specialization in raptors.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the thing that most people know about Boise State is their Smurf turf.
Wait, yeah, I
So
was gonna say their field, it's like it's not green. It's not red. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get this. What color were the Smurfs? It's a black field, right? That's it.
it is it is
Purple.
it is not. It is blue.
Oh, blue. Samsonite.
Yes,
I was
I
way
know.
off.
So Albertson Stadium, formerly Bronco Stadium, is notable for its blue playing surface, which is often called Smurf turf. It was the first non-green turf in Division One football, and it so Boise State in general has a long history of success, starting back when it was a junior college, and led all the way through the national championship it won in 1958. And that was coached by the father of Bronco football, Lyle Smith. And so the field is actually Lyle Smith Field in Albertson Stadium, and the turf was green before 1986. So that turf has been there since 1986.
Hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
And the idea was the athletic director at the time, Gene Blameyer. That's the one that came up with the idea.
That's crazy. It was there for so long, and it took
Yeah,
so long for other teams to. Because what, like East Washington, I think, has a red field. There's a couple out there now.
yeah, and like some people have like certain games that they'll like, similar almost basketball courts now, right? Basketball courts can be pretty unique.
Hmm.
College doing a much better job than the NFL or the
Oh
NBA's
my God.
crappy
Yeah.
City Connect or whatever the heck they
Hmm.
changed their courts for. But
Oregon's
yeah.
is great. I really like theirs.
Yeah, it can be tricky though. Like the trees, like on the court, like around the 3 point line, I feel like it looks aesthetically pleasing, but I feel like it's like practically a bit of a pain in the ass
Like,
if you're
where's
like,
the
yeah,
3 point line
if
at?
you're like
Yeah.
if you're like trying to play or
Yeah.
rough it, I
Yeah.
think it can be a bit distracting.
Yeah. Well, they pay him the big bucks for a reason. So,
Yeah, honestly, that's it. And for Fresno, there was only really one notable thing that I found, and it was that it operates the first commercially bonded winery on any U.S. Campus, like university campus.
I would not expect that from Fresno.
Hmm.
Also, like, they
Um,
don't have like a potato patch fry at Boise or anything like that, or like everyone gets free tater tots every with an A on every test. You're like, what? I mean, wow,
if it is, it's not something that they're proud enough to promote.
damn, that's a
I know,
bummer.
I know, I agree. Yeah, and the student produced wines have won hundreds of awards out in Fresno.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All right, getting back to the history of the rivalry. So the origins. So I had mentioned that the series started back in 1977 with three games that were played in three different decades. So Fresno won those three games in those three different decades. But the effectively the rivalry started in 2001 when Boise joined the Western Athletic Conference and upset number eight Fresno State in the meeting, in their first meeting as conference rivals. Can you tell me who the quarterback was for the number eight Fresno State in
What year?
2001?
Derek Carr?
No,
Oh yeah, it's way too early
that
for
was
Derek
later.
Carr.
This person did end up being the first overall pick in the NFL draft to an expansion team.
Wait. Well, the Texans, when they were an expansion team, took Mario Williams first overall. So who was the other expansion team in 2001? Was that the not the Browns?
Mm-mm.
Um, who's the other expansion team? Who was the other expansion team? Um, I don't know. I don't know.
So you're getting it's the Texans. You're getting your years mixed up as
Wait,
far
no.
as
They
who
took
the
Mario Williams first overall, didn't they?
not in their very first year.
Oh, I thought he was their first ever pick.
Mm-mm.
Oh, then
This
who?
this individual was the quarterback for Fresno State at the time.
Who was their quarterback then? I don't know. That's
Derek's older brother,
Carr's older brother.
David
Yeah.
Carr,
David Carr.
the forgotten Carr,
Yeah,
because he was horrific in
dude, where's my
Houston.
car? Dude, where's my David Carr? Yeah.
So then Boise State moved to the Mountain West in 2011, and it had planned to move to the Big East Conference for football in 2013. Um,
What?
so the yeah, they were blazing trails when it comes to conference
Conference
realignment.
realignment. Yeah.
But which had the future of the series in doubt. However, the instability of the Big East, which culminated in the mass exodus of 7 schools in 2012, kept Boise in the Mountain West, and then Fresno left the Western Athletic Conference and joined the Mountain West in 2013. But they were placed in opposite football divisions. So they did not meet in 2015, 2016, 2019, and 2020. But since that dissolved, uh, the divisions, and so they played each other a little bit more frequently recently. And then, as we mentioned, they're both moving to the Pac-12, which means they will be um, likely at this point they're going to play everyone because of the size of the
Mhm.
Pac-12 at the moment. It's 8,
Yeah.
but even when that changes, likely because they have this trophy, there'll probably be a protected rivalry. So once you scroll down and tell people what the milk can looks like.
Boom. Milk can. Exactly like I said. It is a metal. It's pretty shiny. What's it made of? Silver, perhaps. Milk can. Um, Folks, if you know what a milk can looks like, it is that. But it's a very shiny milk can compared to the one I had that was old and rusted. And boy, there is a lot of engravings on this thing. It looks like the Stanley Cup almost.
Yeah.
What the hell did they put on that thing? Did they put like each player that was on the team? Like, did they put the full roster? What do they do?
That's a good question. I don't know. I thought the same thing for like 26 matchups. There seems to be a lot of writing on it, but
Huh.
I can't read any of that writing.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to write about that writing. No clue. So if someone
Okay.
knows, please tell us if you're a Boise or Fresno fan and you enjoy this trophy. Because now that we've learned about some of these, looking at you, Blue Bonnet, if you hate the trophy, then you probably don't know much about it. But if you do enjoy it, let us know. But
Yeah.
it was created in 2005, but was not ready in time for the annual matchup, which Fresno won after 4 straight Broncos wins. But the trophy made its first appearance the next year in 2006, and Boise won that. So the idea for this trophy as a prize was hatched by 2 separate dairy groups that decided to get involved with their local football programs. Because if you didn't know, California is the number one dairy producer in the United States. And I saw like Idaho was between 3 and 4. Like I've
Okay.
seen
They're up
numbers that
there.
said
Yeah.
3, others said 4, but yeah, clearly up there. So the South Valley Dairy Group began raising money for Fresno State in 2001. And the Bronco Dairy Boosters began contributing to Boise State in 2005. So then 2 dairymen and friends in these organizations, Dan Van Grau of Meriden, Idaho, and Roger Flugel of Visalia, California, put forward the idea of a traveling trophy and began the administrative process of that. There was positive feedback from the teams, coaches, and fans, but an administrative changeover is what kept the trophy off the field in that 2005 game.
Mm.
And the trophy does only change hands during regular season contests, and has not been on the line when they have played each other in the Mountain West Championship game. But yeah, so I'd read an article about there wasn't a ton of like meat to the article as far as like really the why beyond just those two individuals being, just understanding that dairy is a big deal
Yeah.
in those two states, and them deciding that that would be a cool idea. So yeah, it was just a couple of friends that were like, hey, we should have a trophy. Um, why don't we make it milk can?
Yeah.
And the
That's a
schools were
that's
like,
a
sure,
lot
why
of
not?
I'm just trying to figure out how you figure out what is written on the side of it. Um,
I don't know.
because that's a lot. That is a whole bunch.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's boosters, the dairy boosters. I really don't know. Unfortunately, like I said, there just wasn't a ton of information on this trophy. Even though it is, 20 some years old,
Hmm.
20 years old. Yeah,
Way too much engraving for a 20-year trophy, but okay.
that's all I got.
All right. All right. A little disappointing, but this happens sometimes, unfortunately.
Does.
All right. Stop me when you see better. Feel like it's gonna be a short round.
Yeah.
Gonna be a short round. Okay, starting off the Apple Cup, a notable Pac-12 trophy that will be which is a conference which they will be joining. Both these teams will be joining, as you said.
Yeah. Interesting. So I don't know that I just love the base of that trophy. So I like the idea of the apple. I think they probably could have done it better. So, even though the milk can is a milk can, it is still unique
Hmm?
and big. Um, so I'm gonna say keep going.
Yeah. All right. All right. Number two, Jefferson Epps. Jefferson Epps between Florida State and the University of Virginia, which, for those that don't remember, is it's a large wooden base with a lovely vase type of thing, sterling silver at the top. I didn't
Yeah.
remember much about this trophy, but we didn't rank it all that high. So
Yeah, I mean, because if I remember, I think it's Jefferson and Epps are people, right? Or is that one
yes,
person?
yeah, there were people. They were distinct individuals. Thomas
People.
Jefferson was the Jefferson,
Okay.
and he had a hand in both universities.
Yeah,
So,
it's just obviously Virginia,
mm,
um where his home is. Yeah, I mean, I like the design of like the vase itself is just a vase, but like the intricate design on it is really cool. The base is just a shitty wood base. So I feel like I do like if I remember correctly, the history of it was kind of cool. I mean, the dairy part of it, it would have been cooler if it was like an old ass milk can or
mm-hmm,
something, or some like
mm-hmm.
famous milkman. Um, but I guess I would say move along, but
Okay,
close.
okay, and then the Victory Bell, USC and UCLA.
Yeah, it probably stops here.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It stops here.
Yeah. Bell itself is just a bell, but the fact that it's on wheels,
Hmm.
and that they paint it, obviously it makes noise. I think that one is just a bit cooler than the milk can. And
Hmm.
if I remember, I feel like the bell itself was probably pretty old. Like it was like a historic bell off a
Yes,
certain train,
yes,
if I remember correctly.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
And we will stop here. I'll save the last one for
Another day.
yeah, for another day. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and stop here. Because I agree, it stops here. There's no need to keep going. First
And
time where we haven't, yeah.
This game will be played Saturday in Boise on the Smurf turf at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. Excuse me. And this is 5-3 Fresno against 6-2 Boise. So Boise had high expectations to make the playoff again. Has not been the same team as they were last year, and are really on the outside looking in. Probably out of it, but it gets interesting if some of these other schools start to lose. Um, so this line is 17 and a half, which was kind of surprising to me because I
Mm,
mean, without looking at Fresno schedule to see who they've like played, that just seems like a really big line considering it's only one more, win,
yeah.
like a one win difference between the two schools.
Mm.
Um, but I would probably be inclined to say Boise. I don't know if they're going to cover that. I really don't know, but I would feel confident to say that they're going to win the game. I don't
I
know that
would.
there's going to be an upset of the UAB Memphis um, category here.
I, it could. I mean,
Good.
yeah, I dig Fresno, but yeah, I'd probably be inclined to say Boise. Yeah.
Okay. It's going to do it for us this week. So follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us next week when we talk about the Nickel Trophy. For Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.